Good morning, buenos dias. Today is Thursday, December 11th, and I'm calling to order the West County Wastewater Finance and Administrative Committee meeting. It is 9 a.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Present.
Chair Suddeth,
I am present.
we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam. Public comments. Now is the time for public comments for items not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, have we received any public comments or requests to speak? And when you respond, will you please read the rules for public comment?
Sure. Members of the public may comment during this time up to 3 minutes per speaker. Directors may ask brief clarifying questions but may not engage in discussion regarding public comment made during this time. We have not received written comments. If anyone would like to make comments on non-agenda items, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will ask Deputy General Manager Dustin Level to please lead us through the remainder of the agenda, sir.
All right, good morning. Item 1 on the agenda is to accept the minutes of November 13th, 2025 Finance Administration Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment at this time, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you so much. Madam Director King Meredith.
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the November the 13th, 2025 Finance and Administration Committee meeting.
So it is. Thank you. Sir?
All right. So item 2 on the agenda is to review proposed revisions to the PSLA and recommend the item to the full Board of Directors for consideration if the committee deems it appropriate. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment on item 2, Project Stabilization Labor Agreement Proposed Revisions Review, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom.
Good morning.
Yep, press the button on the bottom, you'll be good. Thank you.
Chair Suddeth, Director King Meredith. Tim Sprani, Contra Costa Building Construction Trades Council. Spoken to this item extensively the last couple of meetings, both the subcommittee as well as the full board. I think we're in a good place with what's before you today, but I'll be here happy to answer any questions or participate in your discussion as you deem warranted. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. And who will give us a presentation today,
Okay.
sir?
Yeah, I will just walk you through just kind of the where we're at with the Project Stabilization Labor Agreement, the terms that we are that we have prepared as potential amendments to the agreement. So just give you to remind everyone on the kind of where we're at. The Project Stabilization Labor Agreement was adopted by the Board of Directors at the end of 2020, and it became effective January 1st of 2021. There is a 5-year term, initial 5-year term on the agreement, and it'll automatically renew for an additional 5 years if there's no changes to the agreement. And then that term is the ending of December 31st of this year. And so over the last, I know several times we've come to the Finance Administration Committee over the last several years, really focusing a lot on the good faith efforts and outreach and looking at the projects that have been part of the PSLA because there is a minimum threshold for projects that are part of this agreement are $1 million. And so that's either the engineer's estimate or the bids that have been received. So over the last 5 years, we've had several projects. So it's 11 projects over the last 5 years. And most notably, the largest project is our multi-year Clean and Green project that was as part of the PSLA. The remaining other 10 projects have been in the, it is a little over $1 million or up into a couple $1 million range. So not nearly as large or as long-term as the Clean and Green project. So we've come back, we've reported, so just this year, we went to the board in April, just to give an update to the entire board. After that time and the board discussion, Angela Andrews and myself had met with the Building Trades Council and Tim Sobrani to talk about any potential amendments. We've, recall in October, at the end of October, we had a presentation from Mr. Sobrani and about what the building trades is doing, and as well as a nonprofit arm looking at outreach specifically in West County. And we also had a presentation at the board meeting or discussion a couple weeks ago. So through all of these discussions the last couple months, there's just several items, not huge changes that we're proposing to the PSLA. There's on just a few of the terms that we want to clarify, just different definitions. So like there's the term of covered work, and we want to make some minor modifications that include the definition of covered work to if there is an off-site plant that's part of the project, that's only part of the project, that would be included as part of the covered work. We've adding a section that clarifies that covered work includes startup, calibration, commissioning, and testing of equipment. I think the largest change is kind of what we've talked about with Mr. Sobrani and just how do we better communicate projects that are up and coming. So we're recommending to make some changes in the section about review meetings, that we can call meetings between either the district or from the Trades Council regarding the status of the PSLA. These are things that we're actually planning to do more regularly, whether it's on a quarterly basis, to talk about what are the up and coming projects and discuss any issues related to implementation of the PSLA, including the community benefits initiatives. And we've added a section within that will have West County wastewater staff report back to the board. It could be to the Finance Administration Committee initially on a quarterly basis, held about meetings that we've had. We've also have a couple other sections related to the union representatives' access to a project and how they need to comply with the contractors, the prime contractor safety and registration requirements. Clarified section about that prevailing wages need to be paid for each craft type. And then we added a section that contractors would exert their utmost effort to prioritize local hires. And the definition of local hires that exist in here is unchanged, is within essentially the West County area. So with that, so some of these other discussions outside of the review meetings, I think we're on a good path just between the staff and the council side to have better, just to continue the dialogue and discussion, because from our end as an agency, we are hiring contractors to do the work. And so, we have, over these last 5 years, we've received bids, we've had quality work that has been done. We've had no issues related to, one of the core principles of the PSLA is, there's no work stoppages, the work gets done, that there's no strikeouts, no lockouts, and then there's also the good faith efforts components. And I know that we're working on how do we have better good faith efforts. There are a few opportunities where we can, with some of our smaller projects, just how do we document better of what's happening with the contractors that we're hiring? And I think we have some ideas, and we'll be working through that on just improving, just making some minor modifications on the forms that we're asking our contractors that we hire to fill out. And so with that, I'm happy to answer just any questions, and we can have a little discussion on what the proposed amendments are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And since we have no public comment, this should be straightforward. Um, I'm going to let Director King Meredith, in my usual tradition, I'll let Director King Meredith start. I do want to thank you guys for working on this. And I do want to thank Mr. Sabranti and the building trades for their coordination with coming back with some of these recommendations. So I'll start there. I'll stop there. And then Director King Meredith.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Justin.
Is your
for-
mic on? Is
Oh.
your mic on?
Can you hear me now?
I,
I think, hello?
yeah,
It's- Okay.
maybe come a
Okay, let
little
me
closer.
pull it over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, as I was saying, thank you so very much for that. Seeing that we're up for the 5 years for looking at, to continue with this partnership that we're working with you, Mr. Saranti, and wastewater. One of the things that I'm pretty sure we're going to fully go over, and it's going to be straightforward because it's something that we talked to you before at the last meeting, was the efforts of making sure that the individuals that has gone through different training, and that they had the opportunity to be looked at, other than as we looked before, and we saw a lot of zeros, right? So I know right now that you've all been working on it, so we can have a better communication and having to track this information. One of the things that has come to mind after our deputy general manager had just gone through is that I know you're going to be very thorough, of presenting what we're looking for and what we will be expecting to see the changes that may come. Not great big changes, but more or less communications and logging in for tracking, to make sure when you come back quarterly or whenever, if anything changes, so we'll be clear on that. So not beating a horse, right now, I just would like to move forward and have our chair to expound on a little bit more for us to have this communication, and so we can be clear for where we're going for the next 5 years, okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, let's not beat horses. I have people watching, and I'm part of Sierra Club, so, yeah. Let's beat a carpet.
Beat the carpet,
Let's beat a
okay,
carpet.
let's do that, okay.
And I grew up in a military family, so trust but verify is in my veins. And I know we've talked about these a lot, about the need to make sure that we have the GFE. And so I really want to see something in here about GFE. I really want to see something in here about GFE. I have to see something about GFE, because we asked for it last time and it wasn't in here. And then when we brought it up, there's nothing about that in the contract. So we had nothing to hold the building trades accountable to it. So I'm not asking for quotas, but I want to see something about good faith effort. I'm not asking for anything else, but for me personally, I want to see something stronger about good faith effort. Go ahead, General Counsel, you have something, go ahead.
I just wanted to talk about what's in the PSLA right now related to good faith efforts so that we can sort of flesh this idea out a little bit more. Currently, contractors and employers that are bound by the PSLA, so not the trades, but the actual contractors themselves, need to document their good faith efforts to obtain sub-bids from minority business enterprises, women business enterprises, other business enterprises, small business enterprises, local business enterprises, and disabled veteran business enterprises. And when the bidder documents its GFEs, the outreach effort is expected to produce a reasonable level of participation by all businesses. So those are the current references to this concept of GFEs in the PSLA. And I think one of the concerns that we've heard from the committee and the board is related to really what is actually being developed and produced in these good faith efforts and what are we actually seeing. And I had heard from the trades and others that there was definitely an interest in doing more partnership to try and kind of promote that further. So I guess the question at this point really is where's the nexus, where's the connection that you would propose, Chair Sedith, so that we can kind of understand what more to add at this point.
Okay, first of all, can you tell, just for the record, where you're reading from?
Right.
I am reading from section 11.3 of the PSLA.
So, do you have it?
I'm going to it right now.
So, I'm gonna let her get to it.
Okay, hold on. 9.3, 11.3.
Because what I'm reading, not only there, but also when I read and even in the staff report, and I think where it says like, so I'm gonna start with the staff report. And the staff report says that it requires the contractor employers to make good faith efforts based on the Contra Costa County good faith sub-bids from MBEs, WBEs, OBEs, SBEs, LBEs, and DVBEs, right? And while I think that's fine, it's not my focus. Focus is on more the local hire, right? It's not just the business enterprises. Because that's just one aspect, and while that's fine, it doesn't satisfy when we as board members are being approached by the people who live here or who are from here, which is what we talked about. Sometimes they don't live here, but they're from here. And they want to work on project, or they have no idea about how to get these jobs. And this is what I'm talking about. So the local hire GFE is what I'm really referring to. And that's what is lacking. This is what Director King Meredith was talking about. This is what Director Alvarado was talking about. This is what we were talking about last week. How do we codify that? Because that is what's missing. This is where we saw those zeros. And that's what was very stark. And so when we go out and we're speaking to the public and we're saying, we've done all this great work, we've got all these great jobs, and the response is, for whom? For whom? And quite frankly, the jobs are great, but if they're not bringing the money back into this economy, because if you live in Stockton and you work in Richmond, you're taking that money back to Stockton. You're taking that money back to Sacramento. You're taking that money back to Concord or Martinez. You're not living and bringing that money back into this economy. And this is one of the most depressed economies in Contra Costa. I'm not asking for a percentage, as I said before, but I am asking that we make some effort for the people who are paying this 80 some odd $90 million bonds that we have out. They're responsible for this. The people in Martinez aren't paying it. The people in Concord and Stockton are paying it back. The people who are on the tax rolls for West County wastewater are paying these bonds. They're paying these fees. They should have an opportunity to work on these projects. And I didn't say give them the work, I said an opportunity. We should say this is how you get these jobs. This is how you get trained. That's where Ms. Tess comes in, right? That's where building trades comes in. This is the avenue to it. If they take it up, they take it up. If they don't take it up, it's not on you, sir. That's not on you, sir, on West County. But not even giving the opportunity is the issue that I have. Not even knowing that it exists is the issue that I have. I can't speak for anyone else, but that's my issue. My issue is we're not even giving people the opportunity, but then we are also simultaneously looking at raising their rates. It doesn't seem, I'm not even gonna use the word fair, it doesn't seem right. And it doesn't sit in my chest well. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking to say, this is what you have to do. This is the avenue. If you take it, great. If you don't, at least we did what we could do. That's what I want.
So I'll ask Deputy General Manager to step in, but my understanding, Chair Sudduth, is that the review committees are really going to be those meetings between staff and the trades, that's where those conversations are going to come up, because that's the opportunity to look at how this community benefits section, Article 11, is being implemented and what the results are, and then that's what's going to come to the board so that there's an opportunity to dig in and to engage and to talk about what the communications have been, and so that folks can talk a little bit about, oh, well, we talked about this West County project, and then this is what the trades have done, and you can get that context relative to specific projects and things like that. But I'll hand it over to the Deputy General Manager.
I like that, and I like that, but we don't have any language that says that. We have specific language that says that they're gonna use good faith efforts for these businesses, but nothing that says we're gonna use good faith effort to hire locally or people who are affiliated with West County. Because we talked about it at our last meeting, they may have come through the Richmond Build program or some of our programs in Richmond. They may not live in West County, but they're affiliated with Richmond. They're affiliated with Kennedy. They're affiliated with Helmets to Hard Hats, right? And I'm not saying you gotta have an address in Richmond, or in West County, but there's some affiliation, and we're not tracking that. We don't see it. That's what I'm looking for. And I believe we reached that when we spoke to Mr. Sobrani before. So I really want to hear from you, Deputy General, and I also want to hear from Mr. Sobrani.
If I could, there's just one more section that I think might be relevant to this discussion.
That one might be helpful, yeah.
So this is the new section 11.5 that says that contractors and employers performing construction work on a project shall, in filling craft job requirements, exert their utmost efforts to prioritize hiring workers from the local area, so Contra Costa County with a priority for West County and the region or the district, to dispatch systems, subject to the dispatch systems established by the union signatory to this agreement, and will limit hiring, well, I guess that part was left out. But the point there is really to codify, as you say, to add to the contract language imposing upon the contractors who agree to be bound by these terms that they will, to the extent that they can within the established hiring hall practices, prioritize the hiring of local individuals.
No, it's a new one. It's on the staff report.
Yeah, so that is
It's number 7 on the staff report.
in the attachment of, so it's mentioned, it's adding Article 11.5.
11.5. I saw it.
Within there, so.
And
Yeah.
I guess maybe adding some language about how it's going to be tracked and how, and I know that Mr. Sobrani has some ideas about it, but I think it's just how strong that language is. Because we were told this, but it didn't come through. And I think that's my gun shyness.
Yeah.
Because I'm not asking that you only look at people in West County. I want the people who are gonna do the job really well get the job. I just want them to have the opportunity. I'm not telling you to go to Home Depot and grab some people off the street or wherever. I just want them to have the opportunity. So, I mean, I'm glad that you put in here prioritize. I'm not sure that's what I'm asking you to prioritize. I just want them to have the opportunity. I'm not telling you that if you have West County people, I don't know that I want them to have the opportunity is what I'm saying.
I think that comes as challenging for us as a public agency that's hiring contractors. And we're limited on, the funds right now. We've had several discussions about getting our capital program, getting robust funding. So over the next several years, we're going to have additional larger projects that would be subject to the PSLA. But when there are some projects where we have certain obligations, through the public contract code of how we hire contractors. We have to be done, it's spec'd out, we go and get bids. And so for us, as we're hiring the contractors, and so this is really, it sounds like it's an ask that's kind of outside of our scope. I think this is a little bit challenging, that we're within this agreement, us having additional conversations about letting the trades know, like the forecast. Hey, this is something that we've talked quite a bit about, that, hey, in the next 6 months, we think these 3 projects are coming out to bid. And sometimes they could be, so that as projects come, because we know when we're in design, we roughly know how long it's gonna be before the design's done, before we're ready to go to bid, when the funding's in place. So those conversations can happen before the bids are even out there on the street. So it's just ready to know, that the contractors and the trades know that it's happening. So when they're talking, with others and potential subs, I think that could help a lot. And part of that is just documenting. And I think that's the big piece that I think's been missing over the last couple of years. Of there might have been some missed opportunities to document what contractors or others have been doing. And then it's how do we show with the projects that we're having, with the contractors we're hiring, what they're doing. And I think we have some how the forms are, and making some modifications on what gets reported back, and having those regular discussions with the Trades Council could help with that. But we have to try something different, and I think we have some ideas, but it's specifically in the agreement, I don't know if we're able to get like those pieces in there.
But do we not have the power? Because I see it in OUSD, I see it in San Francisco, I see it in LA's agreements. In their PLA, not PSLA, they have local hire provisions, because I looked it up. And they have a local hire provisions. They actually put percentages in theirs. We're not asking for percentages. Their local hire provisions, along with but San Francisco actually has a local hire policy. But their local hire provisions in their PLA says that they have to hire between 30 and 50% of the total hours of the project. We're not asking for that. So we do have the power to do it. We're just we're choosing not to. So we can do it. I just disagree that I use the public contract code every day. So I don't believe that we are prohibited by either CUPCA or public contract code from asking that we go to the residents in this area to boost our local economy and our local workforce, or that we use pre-apprentice programs, or we offer the opportunity for people to have these jobs. I'm not asking for the percentage. I'm not asking that we give them to them and exclude other people. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is that we have something that says that opportunity will be there. And if those contractors are not willing to do that, they don't get to participate. And I believe that Mr. Zabrani was telling us before that there's a way to do that. I don't want them to say, no, we're not willing to offer any opportunities to West County people. Then you don't get to have our contracts. You don't get to exclude the people who are paying for these contracts because you don't want to. Because guess what? We are the ones, the board, the ones who have to answer to them and go out and say, by the way, we're also going to raise your rates for the next 7 years. So I can understand where you're coming from and that you want to get projects done, but I want to stabilize these what we are doing here past just a project. We have an obligation, and I have a fiduciary obligation, not just to these projects, but to this community. And this is an economically depressed community, and I'm not going to sell them out. We have to make sure that all I'm asking is give them the opportunity. And I think there's a way to do that and meet meet the needs on both sides. I see you, General Counsel.
I think one of the things I'm wondering and sort of looking at this bigger picture and listening to the discussion, Chair Suddath, is that we have this section, what's now going to be renumbered as 11.6, which addresses reporting. And that imposes upon contractors and employers an obligation to provide updated statistics to the district regarding satisfaction with the community benefits program, which as of this, if the board adopts this amendment, will include this component regarding prioritizing local hires. And I am wondering if that, in conjunction with, Deputy General Manager talked a little bit about revising the good faith efforts form so that we're drilling down a little bit more and getting clarity when a contractor needs to hire to complete West County's projects versus when they have a team that's sufficient and wouldn't need to hire, thus kind of drilling down on that good faith efforts issue and not giving us what might be false zeros. I'm wondering if one option would be to tweak that reporting section so that it does include reporting on compliance with the local hiring prioritization paragraph that's added there now. And that in conjunction with trying to clarify the reporting requirements so that we know, is a contractor hiring someone new in order to perform a West County project? If so, then tell us how you are working to meet these good faith efforts. If not, then it's not completely applicable. And that maybe that gives us better data that's a little bit more actionable. And, you know, sort of the overlay to that are the review meetings between staff and the trades so that they can look at that information. And it can be part of the discussion that's brought back to the board, because I think as I'm sort of listening and thinking about the information that we're getting, I'm wondering if it's complete enough and if it might be better to start to implement some of these things, get better reporting, get better clarity on what we're requiring of the good faith efforts. And then in partnership with the review meetings, start to see what that data looks like and whether or not the picture changes in any substantive way. Because I think it's possible that it does and that would be impactful to the board's consideration here.
I think so. I think that if they don't need enough, if they for a project, and there's no need to add additional personnel, then why not just say that in a report that says that the existing personnel meets the requirements? But if you're going out and recruiting additional personnel for the project, then show that there was good faith effort to add personnel from the local hire pool, or that you gave opportunity to the local area. But that also means that you can't say that, well, none of them are qualified. Did you even tell them how to get qualified? I think that's where Ms. Tess comes in with the training, and that's where the building trades comes in with the training. And it might take them 9 months, 12 months before we see numbers. But it shouldn't take another 5 years because no one said this is the pathway. That's my concern. My concern is that we're here, we're on 5 years, we still see 0 because no one knows how to get these jobs. No one knows what they need to do unless one of us tells them. And that's why I'm saying in currently paragraph 11.3, okay, so the bidder is documenting its GFE. When? How often? Because I know when the trades is gonna give you information. So what's the bidder's requirement? Because they have no incentive to do it, only the trades. the Building Trades Association. So what is the incentive or disincentive because right now it's a disincentive. If they're not being held to anything and they're gonna get the job anyway, what's their incentive to make sure they have local hire? If we're only saying, if we take the position that we don't have any control over the bidders, if we take that position, because I disagree with that position, that we only have control over the building trades organization. I disagree with that. Because we are able to tell the building trades organization that if they're not doing GFE, then they get no contract. We can give them some flow down provisions for that. Yes or no?
No, I think that would be I'd have to defer to general counsel to
Yeah.
ask specifically about.
That's why I'm asking.
That one on there, yeah.
We should have flow down provision that if they are not meeting the local hire, they don't get any contracts or they're not eligible. That's part of it.
So I think I'm frankly, I'm not sure that we have that authority because we do have to award to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
How is that responsive if they're not going to hire locally, if we're requiring local hire?
Well, I think the requirement is that then we would need to develop a local hire policy that passes constitutional muster, which is a tricky needle to thread, as you might imagine.
Yes.
And so we would, at this point, we don't have the backstopping to kind of create that enforceable requirement, but we would need to go to the lengths of creating a policy that we think passes constitutional muster and then going to impose it as a requirement. And I think, frankly, I would need to research it more to see the how and the when, because at the end of the day, some of the entities that you've described who have these have broader contractual flexibility than what we do, being a charter city or an offshoot of a charter city. So they have all of that statutory or non-statutory flexibility that might make the facts different for them than they are for West County. So I think we would need to, it would be a larger effort to dig in and to figure out how we might be able to create an enforceable requirement on contractors that they comply with that. And I don't think that on the timeline we're talking about right now that we'd be able to go through that effort and develop that. The pieces here that I see that I think we've been kind of talking a little bit about have been, the union's responsibility to ensure that to the extent that they can, that they are including local residents and journeymen and apprentices and referring them to our projects. What does that look like once we start getting these review meetings kicked off? Things like that, as well as obviously any reporting requirements we can impose upon the contractors that would be helpful to the board in understanding this issue. I think that's sort of where things are right now in terms of the state of the PSLA, but the broader issue of an enforceable local hire provision, I think is, or an enforceable local hire requirement is, I think, a little bit outside of this issue.
So I think that it's not just San Francisco or it's not just the city. It was also OUSD and it's several water districts. There's a lot of them in Southern California because I looked and I've spoken to them who have this provision. So it's not just the cities. OUSD is a special district, is a school district that has it. And several water districts have it. And even East Bay Mud has a component of this. And several wastewater districts has a component of this. So I'm not just saying this as if it's some anomaly. And I know it because I've done the research on it. So I'm not asking for something that I know is outside of the realm of possibility. So, and I get it, we have a timeline, but I'm not ready to say that the contractors continue to get these jobs if they're not willing to work with our local population. And I'm not willing to string it all on the building, the union. If the union is going to do what they do, and if they are going to have a good faith effort, then why can't the contractors that comes through the union? And why can't they have, we have in 12.1 currently compliance. And it says it is responsibility of the contractors/employers and unions to investigate and monitor compliance. But if they don't, what are we gonna do if they don't comply? And so you're telling me nothing.
No, I think at the end of the day, it becomes a question of, so what does that mean? It's a breach of contract, right?
That's what I'm
They've
saying.
determined, they've signed an agreement, contractors have signed an agreement that says they agree to be bound by the terms of the PSLA. So if they're violating the terms of the PSLA, then arguably, we would see if we can pursue a breach of contract claim against them.
That's my
That would be,
point.
that's the legal arc, although not necessarily the arc that the agency would have to follow.
That's what I'm saying. So if they have a breach of contract once on one project, you can use that to say, you don't get any more contracts. Because in our documents, there should be, if there's not, there should be, are there any claims against you? Have you breached any other contracts with West County wastewater? That's my point. My point is not, oh, okay, I don't care if you're the low bidder. Have you breached any other contracts with West County wastewater? Have you breached a contract? So if you breached this PSLA before, don't care if you're the lowest bidder. You don't get another contract. And if you breach this GFP, so sorry, you don't get it. If you don't want to do local hire, great, no problem, go somewhere else. All I asked you to do was give an opportunity. I'm not asking you to guarantee us a certain number. I just say, give an opportunity. And if you don't want to do that, and you want to continue to, then you don't get any more contracts. Don't care if you're the lowest bidder. Don't care if you have fantastic work. There are people here who can work. And so that is a breach. And so that's all I'm asking is, you can't have a compliance without something that says that there's a penalty for non-compliance.
You are right. There's certainly the legal hammer here of litigation. I want to be frank with you that is expensive. That's a long road, and I can't say with certainty that we would prevail, that a court would find that to be a sufficient breach for what we're claiming. The bigger picture, or sort of the other pieces of it, I think are, significant as we're talking about how this might proceed and what the different avenues are to see whether or not we actually have a basis, or have sort of a basis to say that in fact that's not being done. I think that's part of the piece when I'm saying getting better data and giving the reporting, getting that process going.
Sure.
That's part of it, is that I'm not certain that we have that there are sort of gaps there where these opportunities are not being provided, or where there's non-compliance. I guess that's the clearest way to say it.
But isn't that non-compliance too? Because isn't that required, that reporting required?
Yes.
So if the reporting is required and they're not reporting, or they're not reporting adequately, that's an issue too.
I'm not sure that they're not reporting. My understanding was that we're getting information from contractors.
Yeah, but it's zeros. So that's my point. It's like a circular argument.
Right.
So I get it. We're going to. I understand, General Counsel, and I understand Deputy General Manager, that we are putting into place better ways of reporting. Yes. But if we can put in all kind of better ways of reporting, and if it's still going to result in zero because you're not making concerted efforts to give people an opportunity, it's still going to be zero. I'm not interested in seeing a bunch of zeros. I'm interested in seeing people have an opportunity. I'm not, and if it's still a zero, great. Show me the opportunity. That's in the good faith effort. Good faith effort I'm talking about is, did you tell them? Did you tell them about it? Did you go? Because we keep seeing you didn't even talk to them over here. You didn't even, don't send them a flyer that says you got 24 hours to show up. Did you tell them how they can test this program? A lot of these people don't even know about this program. A lot of them don't even know about the pre-apprentice program with building trades. You have to already be in the know in order to participate. You have to be one of those students who are like, oh, I want to be a plumber. Some don't even know they want to be a plumber. I'm going to ask, Mr. Sabani, can you come up? I know you wanted to say something.
Excellent discussion. I think 3 points, and not that I want to negotiate language with the dais, I think, but I think there's really a limited scope that whether it's incorporated in 11.3, 11.1, 11.5. I think number one, I do agree that a lot of these things are outside of the specific purview of the building trades. A lot of these are going to be related to the contract. But I think what some things that maybe can be incorporated, just so you mentioned again how you codify, is it already meant, like, number one, is I kind of talked about it, you could probably put language to it. I was dramatic, like the very next day, we were connected with the contractor. But in some respects, when you guys award a contract, it can be written in that, the contractor upon award is going to be directed to meet and confer with the building trades to develop, and the building trade and its nonprofit arm, CTWI, a plan or a strategy to meet, local hire, or however you phrase it, a good faith effort to hire from the local community. So that way we were able to develop something with the contractor, because ultimately, us and the contractor, maybe we could develop a plan, and that could be something that goes, that staff looks at, that you look at. But I think number one, we want to codify that a little bit, because it's there. I think it's in the language. I could argue that, well, it's already in the document. But if it's put there specifically, the contractor to meet and confer with the building trades as nonprofit arm, upon awarding to kind of develop a strategy. Because if, I sit down with Megan and myself, the contractor, I think we can kind of work on things. Okay, are we doing this? Are we doing that? And I think speaking to your point, Chair, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get there, but if you have a plan, if you're intentional about it. So I think if there's some, whether that's a sentence or a modification of existing language, I think it's there, but I think it could be there a little bit stronger, so it's very specific. Onboarding a contract, and the contractor, because they're signing this document, this agreement to be bound, that's something that they're bound to. They're going to meet with the building trades and the nonprofit arm to develop some strategies and some intentionality about hiring local.
Okay, so hold on. Pause for just 1 second. Now, General Counsel, can you wordsmith something for that in currently 11.4? I know the numbering is going to change. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Because you said this at the last meeting, and this is what I told you that I wanted. And this is Director King Meredith, yes? Because this is kind of what we were talking about. I looked at my notes, and this is kind of what I'm talking about look, if you don't plan, then plans are developed for you. But this is what we were talking about before, and this is kind of what I'm looking for, is, the parties to the agreement, this agreement, and to the contract have this conversation. When we have a kickoff meeting, that's what we do. We say, this is your responsibility, this is your role, this is your responsibility, this is your role. So can we do that?
Certainly, I don't see a problem with that. It would
No,
be
can you wordsmith what he's saying?
So it would, yes, just
I
so
want
that
it
I'm
in there.
clear, the idea would be to add language that specifies that the unions and a contractor awarded a project that's covered by the PSLA will meet with the nonprofit arm to,
Yeah, the trades nonprofit arm and somebody from here, the designated WCW representative, right? To develop the plan. But we can have somebody, present, but really it's on the building trades and their nonprofit arm and the contractor, right?
I would say, if you could say and/or. So
And or.
because if they're not available or I'm not available, I don't want to slow down.
No, let her develop it and then you guys can work the language out. But that's what I'm talking about.
What I mean by and/or is building trades and/or CTW.
right.
Yeah, I got it. This is what I wrote down. But, so you can tweak the language, but that's what I'm looking for.
That's fine. I don't have a
Okay,
problem with that.
that's the first part. And then, and what that looks like when you bring it to us, because I would like it to come to those plans at some point to come to F&A, to the Finance Committee, when you bring us the stats. So we can see, well, this is what the plan was, and this was the result from that plan. Now just bring me the numbers. Okay, we planned on this, and this was the result. So we can see, especially in the first year or so, was it effective? Was it effective doing this? Does that work for you, Director King Meredith?
Yes, and I was just thinking, that as we speaking of the development and looking at the language and having our general counsel to work with you all with this language, one of the things, and as Chair Suggs was saying, in order to make these connections, I don't know if there's any way, once these conversations have something in place, like an index or some type of contest, contact saying that these individuals has gone through these apprenticeships programs and stuff, when you start looking at and having these discussions and have this to be reviewed and to see who has gone through these different apprenticeships in order to be able to participate on these jobs. One of the things, and I know you had mentioned before, that sometimes, individuals go through these trainings, but yet still they move away. Is there any type of blueprint, any type of fingerprint that you could say these individuals has gone through these programs, have this index, have this all this context here, have the contracts to look at this and say, well, we have these individuals from local to be local, properly chosen for local hire, that we have these and we can discuss it and we can pull from this pool and pull from that pool on these projects. Is there any way, I know you're looking at the language, but I'm just thinking how things are, we're missing a connection here, in order to pull this forth, so we won't continue to see this effort has not been made or this effort has been made. So a connection, of thorough connection. And once you have a listing and be able to pull from that listing and have that discussion, you can contact those, the contractor can contact those individuals. Will that be too much work for them to do that? I'm just talking about
Right.
statutory and layout and the form.
And I think part of that is what we talked about, right? Is when someone comes into the hall or when the contractors contact, there's something on their union card or in their file that says, and you ask them, just ask them straight out, have you participated in any of the following programs? Are you affiliated with any of the following programs? And they just check the box. So when they're filling out the form that says, good faith effort or current workers, current members on the project, and you're doing the local, you can see, okay? Because like we say, it's not just people who live here, it's people who have come through, the programs, the community programs.
Well, I would say, so Megan had the last subcommittee, she said something that is a quote I've used before. It's like, data is endless.
That's
I don't know the time it is to a certain extent, but I think what we can do, what I was gonna suggest as a second recommendation, is we do a lot that I think it's helpful for you as a board to know, because there's no way you can know everything that we do in terms of local outreach. So as part of these, quarterly meetings, we can give updates as to what we're doing in West County in terms of recruitment within our apprentice programs. Like I literally was on an email thread this morning about one that we're gonna do in San Pablo and and that's information that would be good for you to know. So that way, this is kind of part of the report, because I think there's two different things here. There's number one, contracts are awarded, and what are we specifically doing, working with those contractors on the specific project. So that's one thing, a real moment in time that contracts are awarded, the work's gonna start, what can we do to be intentional to try to hire from the halls, local residents. Let's develop a plan, no guarantee we're gonna get there, but that's part of the good faith effort. But number two, part of good faith effort is also bringing more people from West County into employment within the trade.
Yes.
We can report back to you, because we're doing the work. It's not hard for us to put together that information. Hey, here's what we're doing at Kennedy High School.
Yes.
With CTWI. Here's what we're doing on Richmond Hill. Here's what we're doing. And that way you as a board can see that. So when you get those questions from the community, and they say, oh, the trades aren't really doing anything, you can say, hold on. They were just at San Pablo. They were just at the Richmond Auditorium. So I think that's an easy thing to, again, it's a modest tweak because we're kind of at the 11th the building, because sometimes you might be hiring for technicians and other jobs within the department. So you maybe, whether you do a job fair, some kind of job outreach, the trades can be a participant in that, so people know it's not necessarily being employed by the district, but hey, this is an employment opportunity that's associated with the district because we have a PSLA. So we would participate.
Okay, I like both of those. And what I will say is, I will add that in the recruitment, the update, the quarterly update, what I would like to see is not just what you've done and what you're doing, but I would think that anything that's upcoming, right? That you will provide that. That gives us an opportunity not to just say, they were just at Kennedy High or Richmond Build, but they're coming back to Kennedy High and Richmond Build in 3 weeks. Put it on your calendar. Make sure you can bring your sons and daughters then.
We would just give those updates. So I mean, I think the first suggestion that really is more on the contractor, but if it's contract
Yes.
agreement, that we're gonna either we confer, the building trades with the contractor and the district to come up with a plan. Doesn't mean you'll hire 100%
Nope.
local.
No.
You at least have a plan to try.
That's all.
That is woven in, and then the other things are, hey, the trades is part of these quarterly meetings or meetings with staff, provide an update in terms of outreach, and the third is just any hiring, recruitment, efforts, job fairs, et cetera, that the district does. I don't know if those are, and I think hopefully those are things that are kind of reasonable, not too hard to add in, but those would be nice.
No, and thank you for that. I think, pardon me? Okay. Thank you for that. I think that's a, thank you. Thank you for that. So again, I would want to be able to give the community a heads up. On the, so Deputy General Manager, tell us what your vision is for the quarterly meetings. With this change from what?
Yeah, so it's just adding, because there was discussion previously about kind of a joint administration committee. We feel like it'd be more effective to be kind of at the staff level, and having regular meetings with the with the trades, as discussing about what is going on, like what. So I think that's the main compared to where we had before. Is we added the language specifically about discussing the implementation of the section related to community benefit initiatives, and that's the section of the agreement that has the good faith efforts and the local hire provisions that we're adding in there. So I think a lot of the discussion here that we're discussing, adding that language within the agreement, amending, specifying what the purpose of those review meetings are, and then specifying that we're going to report back to the board, and we can go to the FNA committee first if that's the desire of the committee, about the status of those meetings. And what Mr. Sobrani just mentioned, that is, they can also be providing an outlook of what are some of the outreach activities that they're doing is with the Trades Council, and we can report that back, that information back to the board as well.
And what's the makeup of the committee? I mean, of this committee that's.
So the way it's worded right now is just an equal number of council and district staff. So it's the one thing we were just aware of is if it became very formal, then it would be subject to the requirements of the Brown Act. And so we thought for administration purposes on the district side, we thought it would be more effective, kept it kind of more informal, but made as much reference within in the meeting. But I think there's an opportunity if a board member would like to participate, that I think one board member may be able to, who'd be appointed by the president if that was somebody that would like to do. And I think we could still make that, and that would still work. And so then we would have on the staff side, plus if that was appointed by the board president that year. a representative to meet when those meetings happen.
Yeah, I think I like that idea, one board member rep, likely from the F&A committee. I like the idea of it, the information coming to the F&A committee first and then going to the board. The council and district staff, I mean, it's fine, I just wanted it on the record, what the committee, the composition of the committee and what they
Right,
would
right,
be.
and I think that
I just
that's-
wanted you to say it on the
Yeah,
record.
so that's not necessarily specifically in the agreement. The agreement's more broad on who could
that's
be in it,
fine.
so that could change over time, but it's.
The
that there's
flexibility is fine.
representatives,
The
yes.
flexibility is
Right.
fine. I just wanted you to explain it. And
Right.
it's gonna, but I would like for it to come to the F&A committee, whoever that is, before it goes to the board to flush out any issues. I don't want to spend 3 hours at a board meeting flushing out issues. It should flush out in the committee first and then go to the board to have, a conversation, but it should come to the board meeting. I like the idea, thank you, Mr. Sabrante, of having, the council attend when necessary, either the committee meeting or the board meetings, to discuss whatever, especially to give updates. And if we have more robust questions, we can ask those. Do you have any feedback on the 3 recommendations from Mr. Sabranti?
I think those recommendations, if they're included as part of the meetings, where we're just having more dialogue about what's happening, like we're sharing a further outlook of what's going on with our projects, they're sharing with what we're doing, I think that's very reasonable, and it's just it'll be more helpful, over the long term, as we're just understanding what what we're doing and what they're doing, and so we can communicate that back and figure out ways that we could better document the work that's happening. And I think that's might be part of what has been missing some of these last years. I wouldn't say that contractors aren't doing anything, when they're trying to hire, but it's just that we can have better documentation about what's happening out there. Because sometimes it's outside of, if we're not immediately having a project that's subject to the PSLA, there may be some other activities that are happening in the West County area.
Yeah, I know, because you're nicer than me, because I'm going to say they're not doing it, because I'm just one of those people. If I don't see it, if it's not documented, it's not happening. This is my training. It's got to be documented. If it's not documented, it's not happening, because I can't prove that it's happening. Right? I can't track it. I can't monitor it. It's got to be documented for me. Word is good, but trust but verify, and then verify it again. And so I have to see it. And I like the idea of the updates on recruitment quarterly. So somewhere in here where you speak about the review meetings, I do want it to say, because right now it says in 5.4 on page 7. It says that the review meetings will discuss the status of the PSLA, including evaluation of the CBI, and includes provisions for WCW staff to report back to the board on a quarterly basis about any meetings. But I do want it to mention these updates on recruitment. It doesn't have to be go into specifics, but I do want the review meetings to say something about the updates on recruitment efforts in the local area. So it doesn't have to say the words West County, but local area recruitment efforts, something to that effect, as well as joint outreach efforts between the council and West County, something like that. And I think, and then to the point made by Mr. Sabrante about the award contract, I like that in there, about in these review meetings to talk about the plans that are being developed between the contractors and the council, or the council's nonprofit arm. What's, just a general update. So those 3 things, so the local local, so basically, it's just an update on the recruitment and outreach with those three components. So at that review meeting, you're going to talk about those three things. So part of that community benefits initiative is those things, right? When contracts are awarded, that there will be a meet and confer with the building trades and its nonprofit arm or its nonprofit arm to develop the plan to meet local hire provisions. And the recruitment efforts for local hire that will happen, that update, and then the outreach, the joint outreach efforts, that the possibility of joint outreach efforts between WCW and the council. I'll let you wordsmith it. And then, as well, we wanted to, now the documentation, how often are we gonna get this documentation? Because I don't wanna go, I think the first year, I'd like to see it more often. And then we can go, less often, but I wanna see it more often, the first year. Because we went and then we got shocked. We were years in and then we were like, wait, what? Zeros? So I think I would like to see it.
I mean, the reporting requirement is annually, that they
I
need to
know.
provide it annually.
I don't want to see it annually.
If some of it depends on the projects that we have that are subject to the PSLA.
I got it.
You
I
know,
got
so
that.
so if we have 0 projects in the next year, because we're in this small holding pattern until we get us, additional funds. I mean, we're on the plan to have several projects a year that would probably comply with this, but, we might only have 1 in that new project this next year.
But that's new projects, but they're still working on projects now, right?
The only one that's remain is really the clean and green.
But
at
they're
this
still
point.
working on it
They're
now.
still working on that one. So providing updates on the progress of the existing project, yes, we could continue to do that.
So I still want to see it because they still are bringing people in, right?
Right, there are new subs and there's different groups, because it's such a large project.
So I would, and different subs, different contract, but also different people coming in. So I think we need to see, because it's still hiring in, and that's our biggest project.
Correct.
So I still would like to see more timely updates. And I think the best place to start is with our biggest project. So I think that especially, if the board approves this, it needs to be, that first year needs to be a consistent, I think it needs to be, what are you saying, bi-monthly? I almost want monthly, but I get it. I know you say bi-monthly. I said I almost want monthly, but I get it, bi-monthly. And even, I might handle quarterly. I think quarterly will be fine because you're having quarterly meetings. You're having quarterly meetings. So I think a quarterly update is sufficient. Yeah. General counsel is over there giving me her church
I
fingers.
know, not to be the fly in the ointment.
She give me her church fingers. So yeah, I know the church hand.
I know.
I know the church hand look like.
I just wanted to flag that for contracts that are underway, they've signed to comply with the terms of the PSLA. And so changes to the terms after the fact, I think we'll have some difficulty retroactively applying. Doesn't mean that we can't still ask. We've got one big project and we can still ask, but I just want to flag that from applying it to our existing projects might be a little bit tricky.
As a contracts person, I know. However, in deference to your church hand, ask and you shall receive. Maybe. So, yeah, we can try. But I do think I want to see just the numbers, just an update, more frequently. I don't think 1 year. I think 1 year is a lot, considering what we've been given. And I'm a little gun shy of not being able to see the numbers more frequent. And I think it goes hand in hand with having quarterly meetings. Give us some information. And if you have a particular contractor who hasn't given it to you, note that. Just note it. and say this particular contractor, we haven't provided. I think what bothers me the most is that there was no context, to Director King Meredith's point. There was no context around those zeros. We just saw a bunch of zeros. And so when people who watched that or who saw that came up to us, we had nothing. I had nada. I was like, I don't know. I don't like getting caught off guard. There's like, my biggest pet peeve is like, I can't explain it. But if I have the information and the tools, I can explain it. I can say, hey, they went to 15 different job fairs and they talked to the people. They can't make the people get up and come to the job. But without that information, we can't say that. But I mean, I'll do that all day. I will defend our efforts all day if that's what we have. We just need that information. And so, giving me the information that you actually do have people from Kennedy High and Richmond Build and helmets to hard hats is like gold to me. And because, in Director King Meredith, because we spend a lot of time with those programs. And being able to say to Ms. Rhonda Harris, no, they have people in your program. It's like, oh, yeah, I know, right? So because she's like, I see them come into our organization. So when the public says something different, we can counter it. That's all I'm looking for. I'm just looking for the tools to defend it. And then when we say, by the way, I need a little bit more money for our programs then it's not so hard. This is all we're looking for. There. You got a glimpse of how I negotiated my job. That's what we do. All right. Anything else on there, Director King Meredith? And again, I do want to say, again, if the issue is they have enough personnel and don't need additional personnel, just document it. All I'm asking is documentation for all of this, right? Every single thing. The contract is awarded, you guys come up with a plan, that's documentation. You go out and you do recruitment, it's documentation. You have outreach efforts, joint outreach efforts, documentation. Bring it to us, let us see it, and let us work from there. I think, do you have enough information, Deputy General Manager and General Counsel, to get us a clean or updated clean version? You have enough information?
Yeah, I believe we do. It is, we have a quick turnaround time
Okay.
to get this out so we can get it to the board.
Okay, and so, I mean, I know we have an action, but I want to make sure you have what you need. Now, Director King Meredith,
Yes,
I need a motion to move this to the full board.
okay.
I need your recommendation to move this to the full board. You have to make a motion.
Okay,
With
Madam
the
Chair?
changes.
Okay. Madam Chair, I
Yes.
would like to move to have this brought to the full board with the recommendations that was presented at this meeting.
Okay, and I will concur, and for the record, Madam Clerk, we will move the proposed revisions to the project stabilization labor agreement along with the recommended committee revisions to the full board. Do we know when, this is going next week, correct?
That is correct, next Wednesday.
On the 17th of December for board review and possible approval.
Correct.
You have that, Madam Clerk? We good? Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zubrani. And thank you, everyone, for the discussion. Appreciate it. All right. Next item, sir.
Next item is item 3 on the agenda is reports on issues or matters pertaining to the work of the committee. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on this item, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
All right. Does staff have any comments?
So we do have something I want to report to you. It's not good news, but it's not awful news. So as we related, we had a discussion a couple months ago about our rating with our bond with Moody's that did downgrade a notch. We knew S&P was coming, so I've had some discussions with the S&P analysts the last several weeks. They officially released the rating update. So we are continuing with S&P is continuing to rate the bonds at a AA negative, but they've modified it from a stable to a negative outlook, which is related to the debt coverage breach 2 years ago. And we know that this can get reversed, but it's very important that we adopt what they've noted is that it could be revised into the positive in the next couple of years, but it is really contingent on a rate plan. And what's that rate plan going to look like? And
Our new rate plan.
our new rate plan this next 5 years. So, a couple of things that they look at specifically is, days of cash on hand. It's okay, but it could be better. They look at, the debt coverage ratio. I think that's the biggest piece, and we've had that discussion. And it will be, assuming we can you will get a new rate plan adopted this next year. It'll be significantly improved. We get the Clean Green project online. We've made some progress on that. We've talked about the delays, but it's once those new components are functioning, cogeneration's online the next couple months, the new solar's online, the battery is actually, we're anticipating to take delivery in the next couple weeks. So hopefully in calendar year 26, that battery will be installed and functioning. So we'll be able to recognize significant energy savings. So we're on the right track to correct this, but we did leverage basically all that we had to get this Clean and Green project off the road. So just wanted to give you a verbal update on, it's not awful, but it's not great, but we have a plan forward to make it, to improve and actually, hopefully in the next 5-year period, be able to have a higher rating.
Okay, and so the plan to correct. So the projection is 5 more years?
Well, I mean, that's our rate plan, is a 5-year
I know,
rate projection.
but the plan for correction
Oh, no,
is 2 to 3 years?
Within the
or-
next 2 years.
2 years.
We will be in a significantly better place than where we are.
To go back to stable, that's what I'm trying to find out.
And the rating agencies do about every 2 years. They do
That's what
about
I thought.
every 2 years.
I thought it
Yes.
was 2 years, right?
Yeah, so we
And
think
then Moody's, what's our Moody's rating, just for the record?
it was
It was
moved to
still
a single, it went from a AA minus to a single A.
a single A,
To a
right?
single A plus, yeah.
But it's still stable, right?
It's stable, yes.
Yeah,
So this one, the rating stayed the same, but it's just the outlook that
yeah,
changed.
the outlook change. Okay, well, just keep an eye on that. I'd like to just have an update every once in a while on this one.
Yep.
Yeah, I could have not heard that today.
Yes, but I thought it'd better to get it out now.
No, I
Instead
know.
of holding on, because it was officially released on Monday, or Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I have from staff.
Yeah, I know. All these years of the GFAO awards. You gotta tell
They
us-
consistently, the rating agencies are one of the few who consistently look at all of our financial reports, yes.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, we've done so well with the GFAO too, awards. Thanks to you all, so. Okay, any other updates?
No,
I'm
that
afraid
is
to
all from
ask,
staff.
but,
No, that is all we have.
did we get, we had the report from the auditor, but did we get the final?
No, we are, we're hoping that we'll have it all lined up where we're getting really close to getting the draft report from the auditor in the next week or so. I believe that's this month, but we're on our plan to bring it to the F&A committee in January.
In January, okay.
January, yeah.
Because I knew I hadn't seen it yet. I'm
Yes,
just
yeah,
wondering.
we've been
So-
getting through, making sure that we've adjusted everything, and so the auditor's doing their work, and
Yeah.
we're hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to
Yeah, it's a little.
have a draft be ready for next month.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to, it was on my radar that we were getting that, yeah? Okay. Director King Meredith, anything else? Anything from you that you,
Not until. I think we'll be having a board meeting next Wednesday on the
Yeah.
17th, and I'll be able to make those announcements
okay.
concurrent, okay?
And then we will be looking at contracts and grants early into the year, correct?
Yeah, it'll be in the first quarter. I know the last time we reviewed this was in June.
Yes,
So
so
there's
it's the
not
first quarter,
Yeah,
contracts
so
and
so
grants.
we'll do it in the early next year, probably.
Okay, so, yeah, that's what I have my note for that, for next year. And then a review of all of our investments accounts. I think we had that back then too, right?
Well, we had that discussion at the last F&A committee, just an overview of our investment accounts.
Right.
Is there additional kind of information you would like to see?
No.
We gave a high level of just kind of where and how much the investments in our different pooled accounts.
Yeah, I'm just, say that again. The effect of the tariffs, yeah. But before then, I think it was really the retirement accounts, the effect of what's going on with our, I know you gave a high level on the OPEB and.
Right, so I mean, we have, if you want to go a little deeper dive into the performance of our 115 trust, I think that's something that we could do.
Yeah, and we don't have to, I mean, just in the first quarter. I'm not giving you a date, just somewhere in the first quarter. I just like to have a quarterly update
Okay.
on that. And then what's the effect of the tariffs? Thank you, Director King Meredith, and where we are with these never-ending, beautiful discussion on tariffs. And yeah, and how that's affecting you all on planning and capital projects and operations and, facilities and all of that. Yeah, if you can give us something on that and that would be great. And then I do want to have I know that there's some legislative changes that are coming down January. So if any of that is affecting our administrative, our administration, general counsel.
So we could, so I guess the ask is a kind of legislative changes. So there are a couple new laws
Yes.
that may impact us.
Yeah.
That we're still trying to, I'm going to be attending a webinar next week just to
I am too.
see what it is,
I
like,
am
see what the thoughts are. Because, yeah, there's a couple new laws that will be effective in January 1st that we could,
So maybe
Have a
just have a
presentation
brief,
on
let's have a briefing and then figure out how we can bring that to the full board.
Yeah, we've been discussing with staff some of the changes to the ethics laws, obviously SB 707 we've talked about. I think the intent now is to bring a training on SB 707 as it applies to West County, which is not a huge change, to the board in January or as
Okay.
early as we can. But the additional laws that impact sort of that would be within the purview of the F&A committee. I would think those could come in an early update, either January or February, because those changes, even though they are effective January 1, are not coming into effect on January 1. We have lead time to implement.
Okay.
So I think that would be, at least the examples that I'm thinking of, we have a little bit of headroom. So maybe those, and then
That's
SB
what I want, yeah.
707 to the board.
Yeah, if we can bring those just in the first quarter, it's fine with me. I just wanted to maybe have a briefing on them, and then we can bring them to the full board. But I know that there's some coming. That was, I think that's it. Let me make sure. Training. Okay. Did you have anything else before I get us out of here? Director King Meredith? Did I spark anything?
No, I think that was my last spark.
That was your last spark?
Yeah.
No,
that's my
no more
last spark.
sparks?
No more sparks.
No more sparks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let me check something real quick. Oh, I do have a question. So, General Counsel, when is the last time we've taken a look at our procurement policy? And did we, yeah, our procurement policy. I know we
Great.
put one in place years ago, but is it time for us to,
Great minds, it is.
Okay,
The
good.
Deputy General Manager and I have been talking about bringing it forward in next year to, there are a few updates that I think we would propose based on lessons learned and experience in implementing this version of the procurement policy, and other points the board might consider if it wants to. So yes, that's the plan, would be for taking a look at that next year.
perfect. See, we're vibing. And I think there was one more thing. Deputy General Manager, I did want to have a conversation about and I think this will come after we look at the official auditor report. You know, I'm gonna hold on that. I'll hold on it. Yeah, I'll hold on that. Okay, that was it. Madam Clerk, to you.
The next Finance and Administration Committee meeting is scheduled for January 8th, 2026. Nothing further.
Thank you, ma'am. And with that, the meeting is adjourned at 10:30. Gracias, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.